You're listening to Angel and the Advocate, a podcast with licensed contractor Angel Chavez and California licensed attorney and advocate Amir Afsar.
So what have you been doing? We've had a small unintentional hiatus here a couple of weeks. So where have you been?
Welcome back to our bi-weekly podcast.
Get out of here. Where have you been?
So I got a terrible nasal infection.
Oh,
which
boy.
it was the worst. So I had Coachella weekend 2. I was a little bit sick. It took me like a week to get better. I just had the dirt.
Coachella flu?
Coachella flu.
It's
then
real.
I was good for 2 days, and then we ended up doing the gig for this client, which one of your students was working there.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, oh, I know him. He was my professor in college. I was like, oh, I know that guy too.
Shout out to all the former students for sure.
I don't know her name, but yeah, she's like, so we did this gig, and then at the end of the gig, we had an eat all day. Me and Brian, we went to a local restaurant.
I thought you were going to say the taco place.
The taco place. We'll get to that a little bit later. But we ended up eating, and then Brian, he was looking like he was dead, bro. He's like, I just can't. I'm like, what's wrong? And he just looked super sick. So the next day, I woke up super sick after finally getting better. My first day getting better, the next day I was sick again.
So what you're trying to tell me is this is all Brian's fault?
No, it's just...
He has no microphone, so I think we should stick with it's all Brian's fault.
Yeah, Brian's fault. I got sick twice. But yeah, finally better. And then, we're here.
And how's your Coachella content doing on other social media outlets?
So right now, I've been focused on TikTok because I know I've known about TikTok. I've been, I listen to Gary Vee, TikTok, and then we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start, and then you don't do shit. So I've been doing a lot of micro content, which is something I've known about it. It's just we know what to do. It's like a life lesson. You know what to do, but you never do it. You never set yourself to do it. So I've been doing my podcast episodes, chopping them up, maybe 1 to 6 clips, depending on how many I could do. And then posting those on TikTok, posting those on Instagram Reels, some of them on Twitter. Some of them do different numbers. So I've had some on YouTube that get 3,000 views.
Okay.
Then I've had some on the same video on Twitter will do 100 views. And then the same video on Instagram will do 200 views. And then I had one on TikTok that blew up. So right now it's 400,000 views. Ooh. It was a clip from Coachella where I was singing to a Spanish song and nobody around me knew the song. I'm I kind of manufacture that TikTok. I edited it a little bit. I put in a little clip when I flip the camera forward and there's people just standing there. So it's a little camera magic in there. But
you don't have to tell anybody that.
I got to tell people the secrets, bro. Sometimes you got to tweak something, And then also I put in VIP sucks, but we were actually at the Coachella guest artist pass section.
Okay,
it wasn't VIP. But I was people don't, if I put that on
the VIP of the VIP.
Yeah, if I put that on the description, it's people at the Coachella artist section suck. I don't know. I feel like VIP make more sense. So
yeah.
And then I got people in the comments. Right now, people are still arguing because there's some people oh, that band sucks. And then I'll be no, it doesn't. And then I usually just respond with people like different music. And it's true, Some people that people like, some other people might not like. But it's just funny just seeing all the comments. And then I'm looking at the comments, which I replied to, I think 3 or 4 of them with a video. So I look at a video and then they're oh, this Coachella sucks. Take an L, you were saying. Somebody commented, it's not the best festival in the world, take an L or whatever. So I replied with a video highlight that actually Brian produced.
Okay.
It was
when you say Brian produced, that just means Brian made you the clip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to be more professional.
No, I hear you. I'm just making sure because for the people out there, right, when they're Brian produced it makes it sound like, what was it, on TV or something? But yeah, just produce the content.
Yeah,
right?
he just edited this badass highlight. So it was a Coachella hype 2020 video.
Okay.
He put a bunch of clips together and made a cool video. So I responded with that video as Coachella's not the best. And it has clips of every major artist, Beyonce,
If
Tupac.
It's not the best, do you know what's number 2? What's gunning for number 1? What is it that people are shouting out as the number 1 if it's not Coachella? I know Coachella makes the most money, but making the most money doesn't necessarily make you the best festival. I don't even know what is...
other big festivals?
Yeah, what's number 2? What's the one that's gunning for number 1?
So definitely EDC, Las Vegas.
Okay,
People say that one. And Tomorrowland in Belgium.
Okay.
So that one, it's just EDM though. That's the thing is yes, it has the biggest DJs Calvin Harris, Steve Aoki. They always do crazy sets. And it looks incredible. It looks like
anything in Vegas has an unfair advantage because in the background you have a pyramid that has a light that shines visible from outer space.
I've never been. I'm not gonna say it's not as good. And I'm pretty sure whoever goes to that and they know.
You never been to Vegas or you never been to EDC?
No, EDC.
Okay, got it.
Vegas.
Vegas, baby, of course.
Vegas, of course.
I can't have a podcast. I was about to shut the podcast down. I can't have a podcast with a guy that's never been to Vegas.
But so I can't speak from the people that've been there, and I'm pretty sure those people love that festival. But it's like, it's an EDM festival, and so the same thing as the one in Belgium. It's all EDM, and it's like, that's its own thing. But Coachella is literally the biggest festival because it's all the genres that we talked about before. Is like Beyonce doing like a crazy concert that turned into a Netflix documentary. Dr. Dre investing $10 million to do a hologram Tupac that like breaks the internet, like the first time a hologram performs at a festival. Things like that happen at Coachella, but they don't happen at EDC.
There was like a worm that turned into a butterfly and crawled all around the place. Right?
Yeah,
remember that? That was
moving structures. Cool. It's like, maybe there's other ones I know, but
okay,
that's the argument.
Like. Enough about Coachella. We got to put it in the rearview mirror. We're definitely not talking about Stagecoach that much. That's for sure. I got nothing left on Stagecoach. It's gone. See you next year. That's pretty much it for the Stagecoach wrap up.
That's it. Stagecoach is like, I forgot this is coming.
People got to keep their chairs this year. I hear that's pretty cool. People I guess the chairs that came in the sit down area, you got to keep them. I don't care. I'm just being honest. I don't care.
I think next year I want to go to Stage just to check it out. Like, and I also heard they're trying.
You can wear earplugs or headphones, listen to other music while you're there. Like, just.
I heard they're making a younger. I guess like a EDM DJ closed out the festival this year.
I know. I mean, again,
it was either Diplo or Tiesto. Somebody did.
Well, it's probably someone after most people have left.
Yeah. So that what I heard is that they're trying to market bigger than just country, because I guess there's less like a limit to that, I don't know. Like I said, people love that too.
Yeah, no hate in the comments. You don't want hate in the comments. I see you put your hands up, like looking for defense. You're afraid.
It's because I got a life changing.
I'm not afraid, Angel. All right, I'm not afraid. I don't like country music. I just don't like it. I don't know if I'm sorry about not liking it. I just don't like it. And so there's a whole festival that's country music. The people are great. I'm not saying I don't like the people. Yeah. I just don't like the music. And they all want me to go. They're very friendly. You should really come to this. I don't want to go. And no matter what they do, I'm not going. Whatever they do, I'm not going.
But you're going to Coachella next year, right?
Both weekends? Know. Maybe. Probably not. Probably not. I think I'm an old man now. I might have retired from.
There's no.
I know there's no. Listen, I know all of these things that you're telling me, but I think my time to shine in that environment has maybe come to a close.
You don't have to shine. You just enjoy it. I'll get you an 88 ticket. You can
stop it. There are other things. That I could do with my time. An 88 ticket would be entirely inappropriate. I hope to God I won't need an 88 ticket. Thanks for putting it out there, Angel.
I saw. I mean, there's people that were playing with their 7-year-old kids, like running around the festival.
Absolutely.
And you could take your daughter who didn't get to see Billie Eilish.
Stop it right now.
I'm just saying.
Stop it.
Gotta take her.
Moving on. Moving on. Your homeboy Elon Musk, he bought Twitter. Are you a Twitter person? Do you tweet a lot?
Yeah, it's my favorite platform. Right?
It's your favorite platform.
Yeah.
We've talked about, that's amazing to hear that. We've talked about TikTok on here. We talked about YouTube, of course, Instagram.
Yeah.
On the low here and there, we talked about Facebook. But this is the first time I think I've heard you mention TikTok, and it's your favorite
Twitter.
one. Oh, Twitter. Yeah. Sorry. Look at me. I already messed it up. Twitter. And so why is it your favorite one?
Because it's real time. So whoever's tweeting and you're tweeting, it's like when you go on Instagram, yeah, you see posts and everything's more curated. It's like, people like work on the posts, the captions, and the videos. Yeah. Over here on Twitter, it's like you're watching reactions. Like if there's like an NBA game going, you're just watching people.
See, I like to consume Twitter quite a bit, but I don't actually put up tweets all that often.
Yeah,
like I do a lot more like reading other people's tweets. But I don't really tweet that often. I almost messed that up. But yeah, I like the platform. So do you have any concerns or thoughts about Elon Musk? I know you want to know mine. So I don't really know if I have that big of thoughts. What are your thoughts?
For as far as him buying
Elon
Twitter?
Musk, so I like the takeover.
So I started Twitter since 2010.
Okay.
Or 2009. I don't even remember, but up until like 2014, 2015, it was like the wild, wild west. Like people were just saying the craziest things. Like there was no cancel culture, trolling, like all kinds of stuff. Even now, like there's like all kinds of graphic stuff on Twitter that you don't see in other social medias. You post like some whatever picture, it'll get flagged. Here, I don't even know how the algorithm works, but they started censoring a lot since 2016 with the presidential election because Trump used Twitter so much that all these other people jumped on Twitter just to see what he was going to tweet, like just to cover his stuff. And then ever since then, everything just became like more filtered and it was like really bad, but starting to get back to like what it was back then. So they also changed the algorithm like Instagram where it wasn't like the latest. Now it was like the most popular posts are showing up first.
Okay.
And that was annoying, but they came back to the...
So why is it that when a woman with let's say a small bikini on, post pictures, and it drives traffic to the social media platform, meaning people sign up, they go, they like the picture, they go see it, whatever. Other vlogs will write stories about that bikini picture, whatever. Kardashian, name one of your favorite, females out there that does this kind of stuff, right? Nobody has a problem with that. But when Trump posts something that similarly drives attention and traffic, it's definitely not in a bikini, hopefully, right? But my point is, he posts something that similarly sort of catches fire on the internet, right? But then all of a sudden it's like a really bad thing, and everyone's against it because they don't necessarily like his politics or opinion. And I'm personally not a big Trump person, so I don't want to make it sound like it's about Trump. It's my point is to say, like, what difference does it make what it is that's driving the traffic? Or to you, does it make a difference what's driving that traffic?
It doesn't matter. It's just when it comes to like politics, it's just people pick teams, and no matter what, you could say like "have a nice day," and the comments will be negative comments about it.
Isn't Twitter worldwide too? Like, since when is this an American platform?
No, it's worldwide.
So then how politicize it all you want? I mean, what about the people that are not blue or red? I mean, to them and their opinion.
Exactly. It's just. There's also a lot of bots that got into it. So the bot farming, have you heard about the bot farms?
I haven't heard about them farming, but I know about the bots. Well, how do they farm? Tell me about the farming.
There's actual like places like, I don't know, maybe you've seen the videos. There's examples of these people in India who like target all those fucking robocalls trying to get people's like send them money. So they have these like social media comment like warehouses, and there's videos and pictures on the internet from in Russia and China. I don't want to get into conspiracies, but there's actual like proof like. Literally, people's jobs is go sit on a computer and start arguments all day on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. That's literally what they do, and they pay them, or maybe they don't pay them. I don't know. And so this is what's driving a lot of division.
They're younger brothers. They just do it for free. Yeah. I don't have a younger brother. I was a younger brother myself, so you didn't have to pay me to do anything just to kind of poke my older sister, right?
Be involved. So they literally have all these like companies doing this.
To
start like people just.
But see, I still don't.
And people fall into that. Like I don't argue.
So let it go. Move on.
Yeah, but people, you know how people are. Most people.
So you think so? The question then becomes censorship, because that's what we're really talking about without saying it. So then, are you in favor or against Twitter as an entity censoring on its platform?
I'm against it.
You don't think they should be allowed to at all?
No, I think
so. Post anything that you want.
Anything you want. I know, unless you're threatening a specific person or group, like I want to kill this.
No threats of violence,
of course.
Okay, fine. I'll give you an earmark.
Like direct, but like it's people's opinions, and again, it's just a lot of times.
So doesn't the platform belong to Twitter though? Isn't it theirs to do with what they want? If you want to put up something that says, I like steak, and they're like, no, we love cows. We don't want to support the killing of cows. We're taking this off our platform. Isn't it their platform? Shouldn't they be able to do that?
Yes, but not when it gets to certain user base. When you have like I don't know how many users they have, 1 billion.
So once you have a lot of users, you're no longer
it becomes
allowed
a public forum. Like when the president makes an announcement, and because
hold on, if it's a public forum, then why is it owned by a private company? It's
because
not,
the private company.
So it's not a public forum,
but it's used as a public.
If all of a sudden they want to feed you nothing but 7-Up ads. They can do that. It's there. So what just happened to your public forum?
But
that's like saying if they want to flood the local, city square with people wearing 7-Up.
It became people's like news feed basically. So if the president will tweet something, it doesn't matter what president, like the current president.
So if this becomes people's source of news, we're in trouble. We're screwed.
It is people's source of news.
No, if this podcast becomes people's source of news and blows up, then all of a sudden the rules that we make the podcast under automatically change. This is what you're saying. I'm feeding it back to you. Angel Advocate. This is me giving you advocate now, right? According to these rules that you're making up right now, right?
Yeah.
They can, but they can't flood it with 7-Up ads, because earlier you said they shouldn't be able to do that, and then when I said when it's a 7-Up ad, you said, well, yes. So it's not really a public forum, right? It's definitely a private place. And now that you know it's a private place, they can't tell people not to. Well, of course they can. They can tell people not. I mean, this is my private law office. I don't let people come in here and say like, Subway sandwiches, $5 foot.
Habit burgers better than In-N-Out.
Yeah, exactly. You can't, no blasphemy against In-N-Out in this office, right? But you see what I'm trying to say? The same way you're struggling right here with me in like what I would say is like a, kiddie boxing glove arena. This is the whole problem. This is the whole problem. This is essentially the biggest problem with starting a conversation or walking down the road of censorship. It becomes a question of who gets to set the rules. Who is the person who gets the censor button? Who determines what is worthy or unworthy of being censored? Why? Like earlier I said Trump. Why is it that, Trump, the boob is okay, or not okay, but this girl with her actual boobs is okay, right? I mean, those kinds of questions on who makes that decision is just layer number one.
Yeah.
Once you establish who makes the decision, then you're going to establish what kind of parameters the decision falls under. So you started earlier with threats of violence, and then you kind of slowly slid into a bunch of other categories. And then I jumped in, right, and started kind of peppering you with other questions. And so then that's what makes it so difficult. I mean, that's really where this is not as easy as people think. And I think part of what Elon Musk is facing when he tries to take it private is he's not going to have to answer a lot of these questions. When you're a public company, every 3 months you have to sit down and provide these are our users, these are our advertising revenue, this is what. Okay, once you go private, you don't have to do that anymore. You have to tell anybody anything. So I think his plan is probably number one, to remove all that information from the public forum. Stop letting everybody know what's driving or going on Twitter, right? Getting it so it's a private entity and a private forum in its truest sense. Now, once you know that it's not anyone's but Elon's, there's no question it's not a public forum. What everyone's doing, we're not meeting at the water cooler. We're meeting in Elon's kitchen now, right? I mean, it's funny, but that's the truth. Once he buys it, there's no question the idea that it's a public forum. It's just not public. It's Elon's. Yeah. Literally is his, right? And so all of that goes away. The censorship question, who makes the decision? It's going to be, I guess him. Chances are it won't really be him. He'll put a board in. They'll put an algorithm together. They'll try to put something together. But I have a feeling it's going to follow much more restrictive, not restrictive to speech, but restrictive to censorship type of rules. Meaning, I don't think they're going to censor as much stuff. They're going to let you see things that are probably not true and false. And you are going to have to be, an adult, a big boy, a big girl, and you're going to have to go and kind of do your own research to find out if it's true.
If it's true or not, yeah.
Because right now in public, people are lying to you all the time.
Yeah.
They go to Vegas, right? They lose $100 gambling. They lose $100 gambling. They lose $100 gambling. They're down $300. They win $75 in one hand. They come home. They're like, yo, you should have seen I won $75 in one hand. Did they come home up 75? No, they did not. But all they tell you is that one piece of the story. Now it's up to you to decide, is my friend a world-class gambler that's beating Vegas every time he goes? Or is he just failing to tell me about the times where he drops 100, drops 100, drops 100? And that's the same thing that's going to start happening kind of, I think, at least, for now, in the Twitter world.
Well, it's already happening. It's been happening like that. So that's one of the things that they wanted to censor is people are feeding these information. Someone will tweet like some facts and like, oh, this is happening. And then out of nowhere, they'll have like 5,000 retweets and people are arguing. And then like an hour later, someone will be like, oh, no, that's actually false. Like, let me debunk it with these statistics. And then and then all the people that saw the headlines, they already believed the first one already. So it's like, I guess it does come to the responsibility of the individual.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. You ever gone to one of these sporting events and heard someone just screaming the Bible verses into like a megaphone as you walk from your car?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So what if someone decides to sit there and listen to it and believe it?
Yeah.
I mean, so what is that person that decides to sit there and listen to it? Are they a follower? Are they a believer? Are they loyal? Or are they an idiot? I mean, that's the thing. I'm not here to pass judgment on people's religious beliefs, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Generally, the thousands of people that walk by that person think the person yelling these Bible verses is crazy.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. They think he's crazy. So if all of a sudden someone were to sit there and say, these headlines, they're amazing. I believe them. They're all true. Everything this guy's yelled out into his microphone is true. The guy yells out things like you shouldn't lust after your neighbor. Okay, yeah, that sounds good to me. I don't want, my neighbor lusting after my wife or whatever, lusting after your neighbor's wife or whatever, right? I think I left that part out. But you get what I'm trying to say, right? I wouldn't want that. Okay, that sounds good. So now I'm sitting and I'm a follower. I'm a believer, right? Yeah. I'm loyal. I'm all these other words that I think. And you walk by and go, wow, we got the super idiot yelling things in the megaphone. And wow, he's even got a follower. Wow, that's an even bigger idiot, right? And then you just keep going towards your game, go Trojans, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm trying to say. The question of just because it's a headline, The viewer is going to have to go back to the old school way of deciding whether or not it's true or not. And when you find yourself in some argument that someone later on down the road debunks with facts, well, then you got sucked into some stupid argument and you should have known better by sort of doing your homework right out of the gate. It's also code for don't talk about and argue about things you don't know anything about.
Yeah, people
all
just
of a sudden you're gonna have
for
to
the
shut
sake
that.
of
You're gonna have to shut up. You're gonna have to shut up. You're not gonna be able to talk about just everything and anything. That's necessarily not good for Twitter, right? Twitter wants you to share your opinion on everything, but you're gonna have to be careful and only talk about things that you know about.
People are more selective. You gotta be more selective with what you say too, because like,
do you see that happening?
No.
So you got to be more selective with what you say, but I don't see that happening.
But also, like, I don't know, like, what I've been seeing recently is like the trial. I want to talk to you about that. So in your experience,
the trial, we must be talking about something very serious. But
in your experience, Johnny Depp. In all your years doing law practice, have you ever seen somebody do drugs in the middle of the courtroom?
Oh boy. In my own personal experience, no, I've never seen anything like that. You know, in general, TV trials tend to make TV out of trials. Yeah. And in my experience, which again, in real life, the number of lawyers who have done trials is minuscule. Even in my experience, I've done one, right? Not a lot of things go to trial because it's expensive. The prep for it and the process of doing the trial in and of itself is very expensive. Like for days and days and days, it's the only case I'm working on. Think about that. So if you're paying an hourly rate of like $400, $450 an hour, and I'm spending 8 hours, 10 hours a day on it, and only on that, it can get quite expensive, right? So
what happens in most cases? They just settle?
They find a way to settle, or you see the upper hand that one party has, right? The party that's going to lose recognizes that, hey, maybe it's better for me to settle, right? So it's not that both sides come to the middle. When people hear the word settlement, they like kind of just assume that everybody meets like, I want 100, I'm giving you 0, 50, okay. Like, no, it's not always like that. Sometimes it's I want 100, I'm giving you 0, I'm not moving from 100, okay, I'll give you 10. 10's not even starting the conversation, I'm still at 100, okay, I'll give you 50, okay, you'll give me 50, I'll take 90. And now 50's coming up to 60, 70, 80. It doesn't always mean 50-50.
Yeah.
It just means they find a way to resolve their case without paying the lawyers, including myself in some situations, a bunch of money. And by not doing that, by not paying my lawyer $475, $450, $400 an hour times 10 days, right? Because it's 10 hours, 10 days. You can see the math, right?
Yeah.
So, instead of doing that, if I just think of that as what I'm saving, it's worth it for me to settle. Also, with settlement in general, you have control. When a judge makes a decision or a jury makes a decision, you have no control whatsoever. With the settlement, if you decide to kind of give up something or squeeze to get something that's important to you, you control it. No one's forcing anything on you. In a court order or a jury decision, it's being put on you, and you have to follow whether you like it or not. So there's a lot of incentives, especially depending on how important the dispute is, right? What the item that's being fought over is. There's more reasons to settle, especially as the court system is kind of taking longer and longer and longer, COVID, to resolve cases, right? So, but kind of going back to the underlying issue here, censorship isn't really something that I have to deal with in the courts. The Amber Heard, the Johnny Depp situation is not something I'm really dealing with in the courts. That to me, even though it's like a restraining order defamation case, which is like a civil dispute, it almost looks mostly like family law to me, right? It looks like two people that are emotionally attached having a hard time emotionally disconnecting. Do I think she did a bump of cocaine in the courtroom? I have no idea. It's a very interesting video.
You definitely did.
It's definitely, I mean, you can't say that unless you really know, right? I got to protect you, Angel. I got to protect you, Angel. So my point is just to say, you're not really sure if she did it or not, but that video definitely makes things look suspect, right? And I would not encourage a courtroom as the place to be doing those things, right? There's a lot of
Is there like a
cameras
law against that?
Well, if you're not allowed to do it at your home, cocaine, you're sure as hell not allowed to do it in your car, cocaine, then you're definitely not allowed to do it in the courthouse, cocaine. Yeah, I mean, the cocaine, that's a no-brainer. You're not allowed to have it. You're not allowed to see it. I mean, you're not allowed to be in the room with it, sell it. I mean, so yeah, any form of that would be frowned upon by
Is
this
there like
attorney.
more laws for taking drugs inside a courtroom?
I don't think so, but I mean, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. It's like going to the officer and asking him if he wants to, take a poll or whatever, like that kind of idiotic things that you hear happening, right?
Yeah.
The craziest thing I ever hear happening is not the Johnny Depp type situation. Locally in particular, it's like what I call the heavy DUI, a person that is so drunk that they pass out behind the wheel of their car at a red light.
Oh, damn.
And then the police officers, it's actually a very scary situation because not only are they approaching the vehicle, they can see oftentimes that the car is in drive, that the car is running, and that the person is passed out with their foot on the brake. And they're concerned that if they jolt them awake, they'll take their foot off the brake pedal and launch into the intersection. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So those are always interesting cases, that's for sure.
How do you stop a car? Or
I'm sure there's a number of different ways to do it. The ways that I've heard them do is just kind of lightly trying to wake the person up and then not startle them, right? Be like, hey, put your car in park. Like the very first thing they try to tell them as soon as they wake up is to keep their foot on the brake and put the car in park. But people wake up. I mean, as I'm sure some of you other people out there can attest to, because I would have never done something like this.
Oh, hell no.
You drink too much, and so when you wake up, you don't know where you are, and that's the biggest concern. That's what they don't want to have happen. And to be honest, I mean, that's a bad situation. Passing out in the driver's seat of your car, you shouldn't be there if you're in a passing out type of situation. But if you find yourself there, then there you are, and you kind of have to deal with it. But that's I don't want to say a reoccurring because it makes it sound like it's often. It's not often, but I've heard of it more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, all here in our Coachella Valley. So, this is a town where people like their alcohol. Maybe you go out, play 18 holes of golf or whatever. You forgot that your actual age is and you're drinking like you're a youngster like you used to be, right? Maybe you're an out-of-towner and you don't know how hot the sun can actually be and you try to replace your water with Coors Light or whatever. Those are bad recipes and sometimes those things happen. I mean, but as far as like a Johnny Depp, somebody pooped in my bed. I mean, no, I've never had anybody come in here and tell me that someone pooped in their bed, and I hope it stays like that. I don't want to do poop in the bed lawsuits.
I just can't even. It just seems so fake. Like, it almost seems like scripted. It doesn't feel like TV show.
It's bizarre. It's a bizarre thing.
But then it's also actors, and it's also the dude that plays a pirate for.
Now there's speculation, I guess, that he's like dating his attorney, which would be definitely frowned upon by the state bar. There are rules against that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a spectacle. I'm not giving it much attention. In fact, the main thing I'm doing is telling my daughter not to watch it.
Yeah, I haven't really kept up. I just seen the clips.
Yeah, I mean the kids are like watching it because people make TikToks and memes and things out of it. So then the kids are interested to know what's going on. No, this is not a good representation of the court system, right? Right now, there's kind of a limited number.
Excited about law. They're like, oh hell yeah, I can't wait to watch the case.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. My 13-year-old is watching, her iPad, and all of a sudden I hear them say cocaine on the table, and I'm like, hey, what are you watching, young lady? And she's like, I'm watching this trial. I'm like, first of all, what? You're watching a trial. And then when I realized what it was, I was like, nah, this is not for you. No, not proud. This is not for you. And in some ways, this is like a crappy version of the O.J. Simpson trial. Like the O.J. Simpson trial was a big spectacle. And I say a crappy version because this is not the type of case that I think really deserves the publicity that it's getting. It's not the way that I would like to showcase the legal system. And quite frankly, the legal system's taking some bumps and bruises right now with this leaked Supreme Court decision that I think a lot of people are surprised to see. But for all my former students, they've been hearing me talk about this coming. I've been talking about this has been coming for a long time. I do not like taking the victory lap, but I told you so. I've been saying this is coming for a long time. I've been saying there's going to be a change coming to the court. And I've been saying if you can name more American Idol judges, then you can name, or, The Voice judges. Yeah. If you can name more of the judges from those stupid TV shows than you can of the Supreme Court, that's why we're in trouble. That's the real problem going on.
Question, how do you, get to be a judge to that point? Like
it's a lot of climbing the ladder. I mean,
how do you get to the top?
It's a lot of getting your seat, which you can get by running for election. I mean, you can just get a basic Superior Court.
But you
judge
just start
spot.
So you have to do your law, then you become a judge. So how do you become a judge?
You can be elected to a judge
What's
seat.
the difference between a lawyer?
Anybody can technically be a judge. You have to be elected to your judge seats. Lawyers have the inside track because we're lawyers. We're in the court system, right? And then also when someone's running for a judge spot that's not a lawyer, they get attacked with those well, how are they going to know what to do? They've never been in the courtroom. They don't know anything about this. And so they kind of get ambushed by that. But the point being, though, you make a name for yourself as being a good and fair judge, and then you climb to the appeals court From the appeals court, you go to the state court. From the state court, district court, district court. I mean, it's just climbing a ladder like any other kind of corporate position. I hate to say it like that.
Yeah.
But, to some extent it is. There is definitely, greasing the right hands, making the right connections, knowing the right politicians, following the right people to the top doesn't hurt anything, right? Like you're good friends with so-and-so and that person goes from being like the mayor of a small town to like, being the, congressman for that state. That's a nice upgrade for that person. And then your connection just upgraded, right? So, I mean, those type of things, it's look, there's not going to be one right answer that makes everybody happy. That's why this has been a long running debate and it's never going to change anything. But to some extent, after, just because it's been this way for 50 years doesn't mean it stays this way. That's what the American legal system is based upon. There has always been change. And I do think that our American people and our country as a whole will find a way to like flex and find, I don't necessarily know if it's going to be a compromise, but a way to deal with it. What I'm most concerned about is the idea that a state would say it's murder to have an abortion. So then that person who lives in that state leaves the state, goes to a state like California where it's not, has the procedure, returns to their home state. Now, their home state is then going to contact the state of California and ask for the medical records. The state of California is going to refuse to give those medical records under like, let's say HIPAA laws or something like that, right? One of the California laws. And now you're going to have a state versus state conflict. Now, people think this won't happen when it's one person. Of course not. But when it's thousands of people, right? Let's say if it's Arizona that decides to go, pro-life, so to speak, right? Then all of a sudden you're going to have anybody who wants that procedure flooding into the state of California. So it's not going to be one person. And then the idea becomes when you have a lot of people and the state's asking for these records and the other states refusing, this in many ways is how other previous disputes have started among states that have led to some pretty bad situations. So the states need to be able to respect one another. And I'm a little concerned that if not able to find a compromise, which is a terrible word on this topic, but some kind of compromise, some kind of situation where we say, hey, if you leave the state, then, you left the state, right? We're gonna have to find some way to work around this deal. But I can guarantee you, Texas, Louisiana, these states, they don't want to incentivize you to just leave and go across the border.
Yeah.
So, this is a touchy topic.
So in your opinion, what do we need to do to fix it?
Time machine is the first thing. You should have started caring about this about, 20 years ago. Number one, the only way to fix anything you don't like is to make a new law that you do like. I think part of the problem is there's not a real consensus on how to do that. Yeah. A lot of different people have, and even you heard me here today.
To Elon Musk to solve this problem.
Elon Musk, no, you know what the funny thing is? I can tell you one thing for sure. Twitter is not going to be the solution for this. This is going to take old school caring about politics again. It's going to take old school needing better politicians to run because they actually believe in making the country better, needing better people with better messages, with like an actual drive, an actual desire to like empower the people. And I don't care whether it's red or blue. What's funny is, why is it that every Republican has to be pro-life, right? And then every Democrat is pro-choice? That doesn't make sense to me. There could be a world where you believe in some of the tax rules of the Republican Party because, that's like big business or whatever. Yeah. So let's say you like big business, but you necessarily aren't against abortion. How is it there's never been anybody in the party like that? Or same with the Democrats. Maybe you agree with like the spending idea of sort of higher taxation on the wealthy and like a redistribution program to help the people at the bottom kind of get their feet underneath them. And then, but at the same time, you're very religious and maybe are pro-life. It's just amazing to me.
That's like humans are, though. Across. Humans are not on right or left.
Exactly.
Humans are centered.
But our politicians have always been
right or left.
Exactly, and that's the problem. Until we have a blended, it's not necessarily a third party. We have to have a politician in the existing party willing to say, I'm not blue all the way down. Yeah. There are a couple slots where I'm red, and the red guy says the same thing. I'm not red all the way down. There's a couple slots that I'm blue in. And when you start getting that honesty, I think we'll see better people running. Will it happen in my lifetime? I'm not sure. Because right now, what gets clicks, earlier you said it's headlines. And what makes headlines is negativity, things talking trash.
People arguing.
Exactly.
That's what it is. But no, we just got to take whatever we can, negative into a positive and just work with it.
Either that or we need better headlines for our podcast so we can get the viewership up, because either we need to trick people into watching this or just make generally better content. That's it.
Now that's it. Thank you guys. If you're watching this, you're one of the 7 people watching this video.
17
people.
We're going big. 700.
700.
17,000.
Let's get this video to 5 likes.
Thank you for listening to this Angel and the Advocate podcast. If you have any questions, submit them in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.